Have you ever wished your speaker stand slash lighting stand had built-in lights inside of it? Well, Chauvet has a solution for you with their FlexStand ILS. Let's take a closer look together. Hey everybody, how's it going? Daryl here, welcome to the channel. So many of you have been sending me this new product from Chauvet, the FlexStand ILS. It basically takes their existing FlexStand idea and combines it with a Freedom Stick. And I've been hearing reactions from all of you calling it anything from totally amazing to totally cheesy. So I want to take a neutral and balanced look at it with you all today. And if you're interested in picking up yourself one of these, they are $500 opposed to the $299 of the normal FlexStand. So $200 increase, which if you think about it, that's about the price of one FlexStand and one Freedom Stick. And it does seem to have a lot of the properties of the original FlexStand that makes it so appealing. It has a really high load capacity of 132 pounds. The pole height goes anywhere from 4 to 8 feet tall, and it's built pretty solid. And the idea here is that it gives you the workflow of a flat-based lighting stand where the bottom and the top, they collapse separately, which makes it really easy to transport from your car to the area where you're setting up. But unlike their old Flex stand or gravity stands or the Pro X Polaris, those don't really do much for your setup, for your stage presence, except they're pretty functional, but they don't really add a lot of pizzazz to like the stage presence. So a lot of people like mount lights, or in my case, pixel tubes. And so this just kind of eliminates the need to mount the pixel tube. It's just already built in, and it removes an extra step. To be honest, I like the look of totems a little bit more than flat-based lighting stands, because you can put an uplight in a totem and it just adds to the stage presence. It adds a nice little glow and it looks great. And I kind of was missing that with a gravity stand. So I guess you get the best of both worlds with this lighting stand. And another advantage is that the lights go from the top to the bottom. So this retractable telescoping pole also has lights on it. And the built-in macros, apparently it readjusts the patterns depending on how tall your light pole is. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty clever. And I think for a lot of tube users, that is something that is missing. I do think it looks cool to have the tube look go from top to bottom. And it's nice that you don't have to worry about how to mount a tube. It's just already built in. And you do have to plug these in, but for your fixtures on top, you can daisy chain power and DMX, depending on which fixture you're using. So that was what some of the pros. So some of the cons I see of a system like this, well, for one, you have to plug in your lighting stand. That's just not something I've had to worry about in the past, having to plug in my lighting stand. These don't have built-in battery. They don't have built-in wireless DMX or even DeFi. You have to plug in a dongle or the USB DeFi receiver. And to be fair, they do have their new RF XL remote that you can use to control them. But man, that's just a different way of thinking, having to plug in your lighting stands. I mean, it's an extra cable, and in a world that's increasingly becoming more cable free with everything having built-in battery and built-in wireless DMX receivers, it's interesting that for a system that's trying to eliminate a step, having to attach a tube onto your lighting stand, is adding extra steps. It almost negates the benefit. And then for me, someone with a white DJ setup and who has appreciated Chauvet's efforts in the past to make white gear, there is no white FlexStand ILS. I think both the Freedom Stick and this FlexStand ILS suffer from the same issue, the pixel density. See how far apart these different pixels are. I think having higher pixel density makes a pixel tube look more elegant. I mean, take this pixel bar from Aperture, for example, very similar to Chauvet Pro's Wellsticks 180s. You can't see the separation of pixels. It's just one continuous flow, and I feel like this looks a little bit more elegant, but that's just my opinion. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down below. Does it really matter, the pixel density? I think that's where the difference is between something looking nice and something looking cheesy. And look, I'm all about the eye candy effect. I need a better tripod on this light. I'm all about the pixel eye candy effect. putting it on top of your lighting stand is kind of coupling that functionality with your lighting stand. I really like my gravity stands to be used for hanging TVs, other lights, my tubes, even tubes at interesting angles. And this is just kind of a one-trick pony. I'm sure you could probably hang a TV off of these or other lights, but that kind of defeats the purpose of having these lights and paying extra for that extra functionality. And could you use these flex stands just by themselves, like as a light, instead of bringing pixel tubes? Is this replacing like the Freedom Stick? I don't think so. Maybe I'm just lazy, but flat-based lighting stands are not the easiest to transport. Sure, they're not bulky, and that is amazing, but those base plates, they weigh 40 pounds. And those distance poles are not the easiest to transport. They're pretty long, and if you have a bunch of them, it starts to take up a little bit of space. So for like that demo that Chauvet was demoing, having like 8 flex stands, that's like 320 pounds of just base plates. And that is a lot of work to set all that up. So if you are going to be using like 8 lighting stands already, I think this might work out, but I don't think this replaces tubes. Like for me, bringing 8 tubes barely take up any room, and they weigh less than 40 pounds or 1 base plate. And one of the huge appeals of the tubes is that they are easy to set up. They have built-in battery, built-in wireless, so you just set it up, turn it on. That's all you need to do for deployment. And then if you want to quickly like move them around the dance floor when it's time, like I'm doing at this wedding, I put some on the opposite end. It barely took any effort at all. We were ready to dance. I think I dove way too deep into this topic about using flex stands as lights without something on top, but they take up a lot more room. Those base plates do have a pretty large footprint. I tried using 4 of them right behind my setup, and it was just too much. But on the other hand, they are pretty solid. I'm really not worried about people knocking them down. And it does go 8 feet tall with those pixels all the way to the top. And you can easily mount something on top like a wash. And if it breaks, I can't imagine having to send in these distance tubes for a repair. I haven't owned any of the Freedom Sticks, but my Chauvet Wellsticks 180s, I did have to constantly send those in for repairs. I think 3 or 4 times. But yeah, they weighed almost nothing, so these might be a little bit trickier. And if you already have incorporated the flex stands into your ecosystem, I don't believe that they sell just the distance pole. So I think if you're interested in picking yourself up one of these, you have to buy the base plate and the distance pole with the built-in LEDs. And it looks like it just might be set up a little bit different too, with different mounting holes. So you might have to take that into consideration. So all in all, an interesting idea from Chauvet, to say the least. I've heard some people say that they're waiting for both lighting to come with their own version. I don't think they will. I've actually found flex stand ripoffs on Alibaba, but what's crazy is that they cost just as much, if not more, with the shipping, and you don't get any of like the protections and warranties that you would get from buying from Chauvet or an authorized USA reseller. So yeah, if you're interested in this concept, just buy this from Chauvet. And I'll have a link in the description below. And to be fair, looking at this picture, I do think this looks a little bit better than the Freedom Stick. And if you are a part of the Chauvet ecosystem, a lot of their lights, especially like their gig bars, don't have built-in batteries. So something like this might actually speed up your workflow, being able to daisy chain a cable to the bottom and then connect to the top. And then your speaker stands, you're always going to have to run power to your speakers. So yeah, this might be a good workflow for you. Well, anyways, those are just my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Let me know down below. Please smash like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.